Hi everyone, I'm Jatinder Singh and I love working with ServiceNow. Recently, I created this video which was around building an MCP which is connecting ServiceNow with Claude, and it was pulling all the information related to the tickets, and it was giving a really nice analytics which is more conversational. And now I've stated to receive the request to do an analysis and show how ServiceNow AI Data Explorer works. And you can check out this video, which was around building the Claude MCP with ServiceNow, and it's for free, which is available. You can try it out on your own instance as well. So let's dive into how ServiceNow AI Data Explorer works. In the past, ServiceNow had developed a lot of new features which are around reporting and performance analytics. However, there has always been a need for somebody to explain what data is behind. What does it mean when we say there are overdue incidents? What does it mean when we say there is a backlog? Because you need to explain, and people cannot ask the further question, right? So for example, if you have incidents which are running for long, you have to really dive in to understand what does it mean? Which team is causing the longest duration of running incidents for a higher MTTR, for example. But with this new release of ServiceNow Explore with AI or AI Data Explorer, as you will hear more and more about it, it is giving an opportunity for your stakeholders, or the people who do not know ServiceNow, does not need to go to the tables to have those conversations to get the right information out of it. So let's dive into it. I love this feature, and let's have a look at it. So once you have installed all the required plugins related to Data Explorer, AI Data Explorer, you will see certain UI actions. For example, Explore with AI. Remember, there is a specific role. Find it in the documentation and you will see that you need to provide a specific role, and the people with that role will have access to have this conversation with the data. I am right now on an incident table. I've filtered out on P1 tickets. Everybody loves to see what is behind those P1 tickets. So we have filtered it out. With one click, when I say Explore with AI Data Explorer, I will land onto this really nice canvas, which is now pulling out details around those P1 tickets. So we were looking at 102 high priority tickets. It gave me an explanation of how many tickets are happening, what is happening, how many are resolved, how many are related to access, and things like those. The beauty of this is, like I said, when you were looking at dashboards, is okay, when there is a higher MTTR, your question will be, okay, how many of those are a priority one tickets? I can just click on these questions, and these are just the follow-up question that AI or NowAssist is automatically proposing, because that makes sense, right? So when I'm looking at a high priority incident, it is giving me opportunity to already just click and ask, okay, what categories, what is the average resolution time, are there any certain assignment groups which are doing? So I will just go with the first question, which is around, okay, which categories of these are doing most of those critical incidents? And we can see, okay, there is inquiry and help, and this gives a bit of explanation that 90% of incidents are closed from that perspective, and there are no incidents around hold and others. So you can understand all these once you have built it, because maybe this specific widget does not exist on any of your dashboards. You can just click on this and say, I want to add it to a new dashboard, or I want to add it to an existing dashboard. So this automatically is building those visualization, which you can absolutely take it to different dashboards. And this would definitely help or speed up the analytical work that you guys are trying to do. One thing what I would like to highlight is that there are two forms of analysis. One is standard analysis, which is very quick, chop chop. It gets you quick answers. The other one is a bit more, takes time. It's a bit more comprehensive, so it's going to understand. So if you look at the short one, let's say standard analysis, and let's say what is the average resolution time for these incident categories that we were looking at, like inquiry or software or access resolutions. So this one is going to be a bit more shorter from that perspective. Now, if you look over here, it is telling us what is the average resolution time, around 19 hours. So not just throwing the technical number around 69K seconds, but it gives you how many hours, but also is giving a really nice perspective into comparison with others. For example, it did automatically an analysis of what, how many times is inquiry bigger than the software incidents. So things like those, which is already very nice. I can go back to, again, extended analysis. I can also say, all right, how does these resolution times, are comparing across different states. So now it will dive into more state analysis, like in progress, on hold, resolved, closed, and things like those. And then now this one is a bit more comprehensive analysis, right? So if you compare these 3-4 lines versus a really detailed analysis, this is, much more comprehensive. So let's say you have gone through this cycle and you have done a lot of these things. You can easily get into something called as recommended actions. So one of the things that the practice leaders or the process owners or the team which is running, let's say, the service management, always have a focus on how can we help the team become much more better, right? That's the focus that everybody's looking at. The CIO, the CTO, they're always like, okay, what are the actions we can do to improve these? We already see that, there are space for a lot of improvements. With this, I can just click on recommended actions. It can come back with something, or it might not come back with something based on what we have selected. For example, in this case, there is no direct recommendation because we are looking at all the resolved and closed ticket, for example, right? You could, run it on another data. So now once I have done it, it's still a lot of work that has gone through, let's say, gone through 10, 20 iteration and diving deeper and deeper and deeper into the data. You can just click on, say, okay, summarize what has happened. And then it will come back with, okay, here is the summarization of the whole conversation that we have done. So this is really nice. You can take it, into conversations with your different teams and help them understand how they can execute these improvements or how they can have a look at this data. So this is a really amazing feature. We went from a table into a specific piece of analytics where we are having the conversation around it. However, none of your stakeholders, and I say with a fine grain of salt in my hand, most of your stakeholders will never go to a specific table to do this analysis. Where will they go? They will go to dashboards. That's where the most of the stakeholders will go. And that's where we as a platform managers or platform owners or the product teams, we would love our teams or the product leaders or product managers from other teams, we would love them to go to a specific dashboard because that's where they have all the right information in a single space. And here I have, for example, a test dashboard, for example. And with this feature of AI Data Explorer, this is now extended to dashboards as well. You will see this small Explore with AI icon. I can go and click on it and it will get me much more details into it. You will see that it's available for this type of visualization, this type of visualization, but for some type of visualization or type of data is not available. That's where you don't see this NowAssist icon over here. But let's say you can see here as well, and you can see here as well. So for example, if I say I want to explore this with AI, I just click on it and it opens a new canvas and we can go through it in the similar way. So looking at those incident backlogs, let's say this one was filtered with, and I can just click here to see what was the filter, and I can say, okay, active is true, state is not resolved, and I can have a look at it. I could also preview the records. There was a button around that. So if I click here, I can always go ahead and preview the record that were there. It has done some analysis and came back and said, okay, we are looking at 938 incidents, and there are inquiry, there are planning, there are high priority and whatnot. And we can always go into the similar style of conversation that we were having earlier. Coming back to the dashboards, I think this is where most of the organization would love to bring this feature so that people are able to directly have conversations from the dashboard itself, because once your stakeholders are here on the dashboard, they may say, okay, what does this reopen incident mean? What happened, and which team is causing this, most of number of the incident that are getting reopened? They can just click on this button and then have the further conversation into detail to find out what was happening, and then they can go through the whole conversation and find out what was happening. So right now they need to reach out to somebody to ask, because they don't have access to, let's say, the indicators that are running behind it, the jobs that are running behind it, the breakdown, the filters that are set up behind it. They don't have any clue. And neither as a platform manager or the person who loves ServiceNow would love those people to have that kind of technical knowledge. I want them to just directly use the platform, have the conversation, and get the information they're looking for. So I think with this amazing, great feature, I feel ServiceNow has taken a really, really great step of bringing analytics into conversation, which was very long due, and I'm really happy that they have implemented it. This will bring the service management and the insights and analytics to the right teams in a right way, that they can get a lot of value out of it. So if you have any comments, if you have any suggestions, please reach out. Please leave a comment behind it on the video. And I will see you soon on another round of AI features. Thank you.